aliens and spaceships and things, and I'm the only person on planet Earth who knows they exist.
As discussions evolved with the mill, it became apparent that, yeah, they'd be great at flying the spaceship over London, they'd be great at bringing the spaceship towards Big Ben, but that moment of impact really, really did need to be done in miniatures. And given how ornate a structure the clock tower is, it became a question of how much of it can we afford to build. And eventually we opted for doing just above to just below the clock face. So we're relatively tight in on it, so that the approach to the clock would be done by the mill, and then it's the wing slicing through. So having established that that's what we were going to do, and that it was going to be a slightly three-quarter angle, we knew that we had to build effectively two sides of the clock and a bit of wing. Big Ben itself, obviously we just built from scratch, and we built two of, so that we had two goes at it in case the first take went wrong. So we had the pieces CNC cut out of styrene, about 2 or 3 mil thick, and layered up so that we could build this ornate Gothic architecture. Nick Cool then took silicon moulds off those originals and turned out multiples in plaster so that we could assemble up, you know, two faces on a corner, and that one of those faces that was going to get completely destroyed could be taken out and a second one bolted back in. The clock face is an interesting one because in real life it's made up of dozens upon dozens of individually cut pieces of glass, which we simply did not have the time and money to replicate. So Nick and I, after a lot of discussion, ended up doing it in plaster. So it's a very, very thin plaster skin, which then has a pre-cut styrene clock face mounted onto it that had been pre-cut so that we knew it would break apart. So you end up with two aspects. You know that the plaster's going to shatter in an uncontrolled and random way, and that the clock face itself we've pre-cut so that you don't get it coming out as one big clock face shape. It's going to cut into loads of different pieces. And it seemed to work. Okay then, turn over.
Speed!
Unfortunately, take one resulted in the clock face falling out as one piece, and that made it an unusable take. So we were forced to sort of go down the route of setting it all up on day 2 and doing it all over again. Turn over.
Speed!
We sat at a production meeting many, many months before anything was shot, and I said, well, one of the things that we need to pin down is which way round this thing needs to be shot. Is it the left wing or is it the right wing of the spacecraft? And at the time I left the production meeting, it was the left wing of the spacecraft coming through the clock face. Things happen in television, you know, months down the line when the sequence is being edited together and when the CG is being put in. Obviously it looked better approaching from the other way, and suddenly it was the right wing that was needed. So unfortunately the shot has had to be flopped. I have to say, it took me a couple of viewings before I realised it, and I hope it's so fast and so subliminal that nobody's going to notice that.